Macca's Guides.
Hey guys, Macca here, and I'm at E3, which means I get to bring you some pretty cool gameplay. In today's video, we are going to be talking a little bit about Gears 5, more specifically the newly announced escape mode. Now personally, when I was watching the Xbox briefing, I kind of expected them to come on stage and basically show the campaign and show some gameplay of the campaign, and they didn't do that at all. Instead, they showed escape mode, they announced the new mode, and basically just kind of left us with a little bit of a trailer. However, on screen, you will be seeing my personal gameplay. Now, a short introduction into the mode. It is a 3-player cooperative experience where it is PvE. That means it's you and your co-op partners against everything else, and you'll be going through each level trying to escape. Basically what happens is you go into a hive, a bomb is set off, and then that bomb starts clearing the hive. It's also dangerous to you, so you have to make sure that you're pushing forward as the gas is kind of coming behind you, or you will fall behind and die. Now, the gameplay you're going to be watching is my personal gameplay. It's been a while since I've played Gears, but I think I did okay. I did want to preface by saying that I am playing on the easiest difficulty, as my two co-op partners had never played Gears before. We kind of decided that playing on easy was probably the best idea for the group, so that's why you're going to see it on easy. But what that does mean is that we are successful in our mission and do complete it. In terms of how the difficulty works for escape mode, it's not as simple as just choosing a difficulty and then just playing the game. You can actually choose modifiers to make a more kind of customized experience for yourself. You can choose from things like the enemies doing double damage or having double health, and they can also spawn more enemies and higher level enemies as well, and then you'll unlock kind of harder and harder modifiers as you beat more and more runs of escape mode. Now, escape mode is also a class-based mode, which means each of the characters you can play as have certain types of abilities. Some of those abilities are passive, and some of those have to be actually used, so an active ability. I am the character Lonnie, who is a scout. My ability is that I have an electro blade that I can stun enemies with as I strike them, so you'll see me meleeing quite a bit, and it's pretty useful against the really big enemies. Now, one of my teammates is Keegan, who is a support character, who can basically make a small area where you can get your ammo back. Unfortunately, it seemed like the co-op partner I was playing with had no idea that they could do that, so there is very scarce amounts of ammo for our group throughout this playthrough, which is why you'll see me heavily relying on the melee. And last but not least, there is a character called Mac, who is basically a tank with a giant shield that can be used intermittently during battle. Another important note to make is that as you play as these characters, you can level them up and then kind of gain certain skills and unlock certain reward cards, similar to the Horde mode in Gears of War 4, that you will then be able to kind of equip before a round and play with, so you can kind of get better as you play more in order to have a sense of progression. Also, the Gears team has confirmed that future characters will be added. These 3 characters are not the only 3 characters in escape mode. Now, before we get too ahead of ourselves, I kind of want to talk a little bit about some of the things I noticed as soon as I loaded into Gears 5 escape mode. And the number one thing, the first thing everyone's going to notice about a game, are the graphics. And in this case, I noticed that they were particularly nice to look at. Gears has always kind of pushed the bounds, but in this case, I think they even took it a step further, and it's a much more colorful game than it's always been. It was super silky smooth, and graphically, I was very surprised in the best way possible by what it looked like. The next thing that kind of surprised me were actually the controls. Now, Gears of War, or Gears as it is now called, is traditionally known for having very clunky controls, kind of on purpose. And those kind of clunky controls are still there, but they feel a lot more fluid. And that means that running and taking cover and switching positions and rolling, all of that stuff feels a lot smoother to me personally, and that was something I noticed almost immediately upon taking control of my character. It still has that meaty Gears of War feeling, but it has an updated feel to it that doesn't remind me of the worst parts of the older games. Another thing you may notice during the gameplay is as you are shooting enemies, you'll see that they have life bars, and you'll see that as you hit them, certain numbers come up to show you how much damage you're doing. And this is by default enabled in the mode. However, it is optional and can be turned off in the options. So I know a lot of kind of hardcore Gears people won't want to see those numbers up there. They won't want to see the life bars. So don't worry, if you don't want to see those, you can turn them off. Additionally, in one of the corners, you will see a little bit of a mini-map. This is something that is very important. I would highly recommend that you pay close attention to it. We did not, and we did get a little bit lost. We took a couple of turns we probably shouldn't have, but one of those wrong turns did result in us finding a safe room, which is something that you may not have thought about in a Gears game before. But basically, as you're playing, you can find these little side pockets of rooms where you go inside and you can replenish your ammo, pick up grenades, flashbangs, shock nades, just your average frag grenades. You can pick up special weapons like the boom shot, and you can always pick up weapons off of your enemies as well. I do try to cycle a fair bit of weapons throughout the gameplay. I also pick up like this heavy kind of cryo machine gun that can freeze enemies. There's also some bosses later on you'll see. So there's a lot of cool kind of stuff that is somewhat unique to this mode. At the very end of the gameplay, you'll also see that upon completion, we get a little bit of a kind of leaderboard time rank. It tells you how well you did, and it would put you on a leaderboard in the final version of the game. Obviously, it doesn't do that since it's kind of a demo. And additionally, this mode kind of comes with the promise of the fact that it is community-based in a sense, because there is a map builder where people will be able to go in and design their own hives for other people to play, which kind of adds, you know, a layer of infinite replayability. Now, obviously, depending on how good the map editor is generally a close connection to how good the maps people make are. So hopefully it's a full-fledged map editor that allows people to get really creative, and hopefully we see the best of the community generated out for us to play. Last but not least, I kind of want to end the video with a bit of my impressions of the mode, or of Gears 5. Now, Gears 5 in general, I would say I'm very excited for. It comes out on September 10th if you're unaware, and if you want to get it on Game Pass, you will be able to, and you can actually get it a couple days early if you have Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. But nonetheless, I'm very excited for the future of Gears, and Gears 5 in particular. I think hopefully the campaign will be good, the multiplayer will run well. But in terms of the escape mode itself, I don't know if I'm 100% sold that this is a better mode than previous Gears of War's Horde modes. I had a lot of fun in the Horde modes back in the day, being able to kind of build defenses with my buddies, have long, drawn-out matches where ammo became pretty vital, everyone had kind of their own role. Those were a lot of fun, and this mode kind of just felt like a little more of a random roll of the dice, where you would just kind of get a level and maybe you'll finish it, maybe you won't. It's not that long, maybe you'll throw in some modifiers, maybe you won't. And if you don't do it this week, next week there'll be a different map. It seems as though it is definitely favorable for those people who plan on playing Gears 5 more on a long-term basis for many years after its launch. But as someone who goes back to Gears for maybe a month or two every time they release a new one, I don't know if Escape is something I prefer over the traditional Horde mode they used to have. With that being said, I'm still very excited for the game, and I'm very excited to actually try this with a couple of my friends who I regularly play with, and friends who I know we can play on harder difficulties and in more challenging situations, to see if we can really get through what escape mode has to offer. and some of the key moments that will probably rely on a lot of teamwork. That, for the most part, is my Gears 5 escape mode video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions in specific that I might not have talked about, let me know in the comments down below, and leave a comment, and I'll try to get back to you if I can. I tried to discuss kind of everything I had on my mind about the game in the video. This one's a little bit more laid back, more like a stream of consciousness than some of my usual videos, but I hope you guys liked it. If you guys want to see more E3 game coverage, let me know in the comments down below as well. I'll see you soon. I think on Friday I'm covering Forza Horizon 4's LEGO Speed Champions DLC. I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace. Also, a special thank you to everyone on Patreon for supporting the show, and shout out to Double O.
Just in time. A little rusty. Bunch of supplies. Shouldn't let him go to waste.
Okay, that's everyone! Let's shut the hut!